up guys, Baer here, and in today's video we're going to be doing the popular mod of modifying the impeller on your snowblower so it'll work a little bit better in slush and all that road junk at the bottom of the driveway that the plow leaves by as a nice special gift for you. So first off, let's go over all the tools and materials we're going to need for this project. This is a fairly simple project as far as materials go. We're going to need some 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch machine bolts, some stop nuts, and some very large fender washers. We've got this snowblower paddle I ordered off Amazon. A lot of other YouTubers use the same one here and cut it up. It's the Oregon 73003. It's about $10 with free shipping on Amazon, and it comes pre-drilled with the holes we're going to need, so it's super easy. We're just going to have to section it off once we get the right fit for it. You're also going to need some thread locker. Totally up to you if you want to go the route I'm going and use bolts and nuts and everything, or you can use self-tapping screws. Up to you once again. I'm going to go the thread locker route with stop nuts to make sure it's totally secure, because of course with self-tapping screws, if you torque it too much you're definitely going to strip it out, and I do that a lot honestly, so I'm just going with the bolts and nut method. A little bit easier for me. Make sure it's nice and secure, because of course there's going to be a lot of vibration going on inside the snowblower once we put this on, so just want to be safe. Now that we've got all the materials underway, let's go over some of the tools we're going to need. Okay, so we are going to be drilling right into the impeller, so of course you're going to need a nice drill, lots of torque, probably an extra battery honestly because you're drilling through hardened steel. You're definitely going to need some kind of cutting lubrication. I'm just going to use PB Blaster. You can use whatever lubrication you want, of course. Gonna need a couple extensions for your ratchet of your choice. For my project it's a 7/16 bolt all the way around, and wrench just in case. Need a pair of pliers to pull the pin off the chute turny thingy. Hammer just in case. Nice selection of drill bits, of course. Tape measure when we make the template to cut the rubber piece, and a carpenter square to make it nice and straight. I think that about covers everything. Oh, and you probably need some kind of, just a piece of paper and a Sharpie maybe to make the template, to cut it out, put it on the piece of rubber, and then cut that out. Before we get started on anything, I want to show you why we're doing this project. I mean, a lot of you already know, but most snowblower impellers come with a gap underneath just for a safety in case the bearing goes, because of course after a while the bearing's going to go and it's going to have a tiny bit of wobble on it. But what we're going to do here is fill this in with that rubber. So instead of when the slush gets in here, normally it would probably just build up in here after a while because it's not scraping it away and it's super heavy. Then eventually it's going to clog your chute up. Now if you put the rubber in here, it's going to scrape it all up and force it out the chute. And of course I did put the new Predator engine on here, so with a combination of this and the new Predator engine, I wouldn't expect it to shoot it probably 10 or 15 feet honestly once we get to the brown heavy stuff at the bottom of the driveway. The present from the plow truck, which of course I love the plow truck. I'm not trying to knock them guys. They do a great job in our neighborhood keeping everything safe, but nothing we can do about that. They can't lift up their plow every time they go by a driveway. They'd be out for days honestly. But okay, so now we're going to remove the chute and get this project started. First thing we have to do is remove the cotter pin so we can pull out this whole shaft that's used to turn the chute. Super easy. Good time to replace it too. Mine's fairly rusty and disgusting. I don't have a spare on me, so I probably won't replace it, but hey, up to you. Alright, got that out. Keep these washers in place somewhere so they don't get lost. And let me just spin that out. Push that aside like so. So you can just put the washer back on and the cotter pin back on, so it keeps it all together until we put the project back together at the end. Totally up to you. Now that we got the cotter pin out and the shaft removed, we can start off with these screws at the bottom of the chute. Now of course your snowblower might be a little different than mine. I have the Craftsman 24-inch 5 horsepower model from the early 2000s I believe. And you might have anything else. You could have an MTD, a Cub Cadet, who knows, but I'm sure they're all fairly similar in the end. So 7/16 ratchet, socket, etc. A little extension on here for good measure, and get this guy off. And of course I threw some PB Blaster on this yesterday because I knew I was going to do this project. Being that this thing is in salt a lot of the times, these are probably going to be fairly rusted on, so just want to be safe. And not bad. The other one. Yeah, that'll happen. Just broke that off. What can you do? Let's throw a new one on there eventually. And next we got one hiding right here. An easy one. I ended up actually breaking off the first two when I was done shooting the last clip. So I'm gonna have to do a Lowe's run and grab some new bolts. I'll probably just replace all of them at this point. They all feel like garbage. Alright, seems like this one's stripped out on the back, so I'll probably have to cut this one off. Well, as you can see, I had to cut the last bolt off, so I don't expect much fun with these either, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky. Of course, I can't use the ratchet because it looks too tight. I don't have a thin profile ratchet. Probably should get one of those someday. Here we go. Nice. Ooh, doesn't feel too good. Well, it moved at least. I don't know if it's stripping out on the frame or not. We'll see. Oh, we're doing good. Maybe we'll get lucky. Alright, one down, one bolt left to go and get the chute off. Well, sad day. The battery died halfway through getting the other bolt off, but I mean, it was just simple. I took the bolt off, nothing too crazy. Got the chute off here, so now we can see the impeller exposed here. So we're gonna make a template to cut this and make this super tight against here. Do that, cut the rubber, bolt it on here, drill the holes, and we'll be all set. Gotta run to Lowe's and grab new bolts for these. This is why they were stripping out. They were so salty that a couple of them were actually stripping out the square here, and there was nothing for it to grab onto at that point. So I'll probably go with a regular bolt with a hex on the end instead of one that's just a flat machine screw. So I can tighten this up real nice, put some thread locker on it, make sure it stays in place good. Alright, got our template pretty much done. Sadly, we're not going to be able to use these pre-drilled holes. There's a little too far apart, so the fender washer would hit here, and it's just not going to work out right. And it's not the end of the world. I can just drill new holes, but just a little more work on here. So let's go ahead and cut 3 of these out. This is a tough piece of rubber. Wow. But it is coming along. Yeah, almost there. Razor blade's working a little better than I thought it would. Let's see if I can just finish this off with the hacksaw now. Whew. It's a little tougher than I thought it'd be. A lot of belts in there. This is definitely a strong piece of rubber. Hopefully this is actually going to last in the snowblower. All right, first cut down. All right, so before we do this, once again, there's that huge gap in there. And we're gonna put this right on here like so, fill it in, just so it barely touches, because there are the two bolts right here. They're carriage bolts, so they're smooth on the one side, but we don't want the belt to rub on those like crazy. So we're still gonna have a tiny gap here, but it's gonna be just enough to fill that in and hopefully push all that slushy, disgusting snow right out of here quick. So before we get started putting the paddles on the impeller, here's a little trick so the impeller doesn't spin. If you engage the auger, throw a pair of vice grips on it. That way you'll have the engine brake technically on, theoretically. And now everything stays in place, so when you drill it, it's not going to try to spin. So now I'm just going to throw a baby pair of vice grips on here and drill the two holes, and we can bolt this thing on. Alright, got the carriage bolts back in to get the measurement right here. Just want it to barely graze the top of that bolt. They are going to be tight, so I do have a little bit of clearance once they're tightened up too. So that's about right. Now that I've fitted it with the bolts in here so it doesn't hit them, I can throw my pair of vice grips right in here. Hopefully get this nice and tight so we can drill the holes perfectly. Alright, so we're just going to throw two holes here. I'm not doing anything too perfect, and yeah, so we're just going to drill two holes about right there and throw the fender washers on. It'll be nice and tight, and then we can do the next impeller. On my drill, I'm using a 9/32 drill bit. Give that a whirl. I wanted to start small and then expand the hole if I needed to, just to be safe. I'm using the 1/4 inch carriage bolts, so this should be about the right size. And just gotta leave enough space for the fender washers. Probably try to support it right here so it doesn't try to flap up as far as we can get it here. Alright, here we go, hole number one. Yeah, I tried to use the vice grip to keep this in place because the engine brake isn't completely working. Didn't work, the vice grip kept popping off, so I'm going to try to use the end of my monkey wrench here to hold this in place while I drill here. Hopefully that'll work. Alright, we made it through, one hole down, 5 to go. Alright, let's just give the bolt here a little test fit. Looks. Alright, looking good there, looking good there. That's about right where I wanted it, so it still supports it right here, so it won't flex up as much. And we are doing good. Let's start the other hole. Another one down. Alright, looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put some thread locker on these, bolt them down, and then move on to the next impeller. Alright, as you can see, it is done now. All the flaps are in. They're not all completely even, but they're pretty close. And once I tighten these bolts down, we shouldn't have too many clearance problems. But of course, just using it will help wear down the rubber and seat it properly. So next step is putting the chute back on.
We have a 138 in progress.
All we have left to do now is reattach the chute control shaft. Right in there like so. Washer and pin. Like I said before, if you want to replace the pin, now's a good time, but I'm just going to reuse this old rusty disgusting pin because I forgot to buy one at Lowe's and I feel like going back. Alright, make sure the chute's good. I threw some PB Blaster on the friction area between these two pads where the chute actually slides on, and it actually moves a heck of a lot better now. Way less work to spin this around now. Pretty excited about that. Let me give you a quick look from the inside of the snowblower how the paddles actually look on the impeller. Impeller's in place, paddles are moving. Still rubbing a little on the carriage bolts, but nothing crazy. Definitely reduced that gap from almost 3/4 of an inch down to probably less than 2 or 3 millimeters. That should totally solve this problem. But once again, we will not know until it snows, and it's not looking good for snow for a while. Of course, I'm not complaining. It's saving money on my heat, but definitely want to test out this Predator engine and this impeller upgrade. All right, so that concludes the video. Just want to say, if you like this video, definitely give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe to the Baer family. Leave me comments on this. Positive comments, of course. I'll take some positive reinforcement as well. Nothing too crazy negative. Don't like that. If you want to stay in the know for all my future uploads, turn on the notification bell. And of course, YouTube's pretty funky lately. Got to make sure the notification bell is set to notifications on always. And definitely stay tuned. Waiting for that snowfall to finally come so I can test the Predator engine and the impeller upgrade. Sorry I couldn't do it. I wish I could have done a before and after video with the Predator engine as well with my old Tecumseh engine, but the weather's just not cooperating lately. For upstate New York, this is pretty crazy. We usually see probably a foot or two of snow by now. It's been in the 40s and sometimes even close to 50 during the day and sunny. But once again, not complaining, saving lots of money on heat, but for the sake of content, it's not doing good. And with that being said, I hope to see you guys all next video, and Greg Baer is out.